Hello guys, is anyone there? Can anyone hear me? Okay, of course you can't hear me, even that I've muted all of you guys. So today I'll be a host. Sijaanza bado, hakuna mtu amejoin. So today, Ati? Siko kwa WhatsApp, guys. Yeah. Wasi hamna link. Fuck. So I guess I can just wait for you guys to join. Hello, Josephine.
Hi, how are you, Ede?
I'm good. Yes, and how are you doing?
Very fine, thank you.
Okay, you're staying at home. You're keeping yourself safe.
I hope I'm not so late. It's 11.
Actually,
Yeah.
You're quite
Working
early.
from home.
You're quite early. You're quite early.
Oh, you haven't started?
Yeah. I'm still waiting for
the rest, eh?
Yeah, for the rest to join.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can just wait for them.
No problem.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
Yes.
we will be using your screen, right?
Yes, I'll be using my screen.
Okay, because I'm having a problem with my
Video?
Revit. My Revit expired, so we've been trying to set up a new one with my other teacher.
Okay.
Robin. It hasn't worked yet, so
I'll just be sharing
it's okay.
Screen.
Okay.
And we can have a look at the features that I'm going to discuss today.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so allow me to mute you kindly.
No problem. Fine.
Hello. So I guess 5 is a good number, so we can start the meeting. So my name is Idi Ogono, and I'm an AEC technical sales specialist at Hi-CAD Africa Limited, and I'm measuring in the civil infrastructure section. So our webinar today will be on setting up a structural project in Revit structure. So the sections that we'll cover, we will put more of our focus on linking an architectural model to a structural project, and that will include the copying and monitoring section. So we'll also go ahead and add and modify our levels and grids. Then we can set the project information and geological location. Then if time allows us, we can check on transferring project standards and working with section and scope boxes. Then we'll have a question and answer session. So if I make sure. So on your screen is the Revit 2021 interface, home page, and I'll just go ahead and create a new structural project. So I'll go to models and I'll click on new. So I've set my default starting template to be the structural template. That's why it's the first option. I'll click on OK. So I just wait for it to load up. So just to introduce Revit. So Revit is the BIM foundation tool for Autodesk, and Autodesk is known for its success in the collaboration aspect. So Revit is the tool that actually enables the collaboration. So a huge advantage of Revit is the coordination benefits you are afforded by this software that's smart enough to actually conduct live monitoring of elements from a linked model. So Revit is actually multidisciplinary, and different professionals can actually use this software in carrying out their various tasks. So you find that it has it actually has the architecture tab, it has the structure tab for the structural engineers, it has the MEP for building services engineers. Currently, I've disabled my MEP tab because I'm a structural engineer. So actually, linking facilitates now the coordination between the various disciplines that are actually available in Revit software. So now to link my architectural model, I'll go ahead and bring it in. So I'll click on the Insert tab, and under Link, I'll go ahead and click on Revit, Link Revit. So now I have an option of selecting the architectural model that I'm supposed to work on as the structural engineer, and I'll go ahead and select my model. It's right here. There it is. And notice that down here, I have the options of choosing the positioning of this model. So I have the auto center to center option. And for this option, the center point of the architectural model gets placed at the center point of the structural model. And this can lead to feature issues, and you may need to relink. Then under internal origin to internal origin, you find that the incoming architectural model, the incoming origin point of the architectural model is actually placed at the origin point of the structural model, and mostly they're usually the same. That is 0, 0, 0. That's 0 in the x-axis, 0 in the y-axis, and 0 in the z-axis. Then I have the by shared coordinates, and for this option, the, the, the architectural model has a shared coordinate already established within the Revit file. So that shared coordinate is actually used to locate the architectural model into the structural Revit file. So mostly this option is for large projects with multiple buildings and that have multiple teams working at the same time. So definitely the architect should actually will actually share with you this information if that model has shared coordinates. Then for the project base point to project base point option, you find that the project base point of the architectural model is placed at the base point of the structural file. And we have the manual options. So for the manual options, you're actually locating the points manually. So let's say you have the internal origin, you can go ahead and click on the internal on that particular point in your Revit structure file, and also you can specify the base point by manually clicking at any point in your Revit file. So that applies for all these options. So the one that is mostly used is actually the internal origin to origin, and we'll click on open. So now we have our structure, we have our linked model in, and the discipline is set to structural. So I can go ahead and adjust that to, let's say, coordination, and let's see if we can see more elements. Now we can see additional elements. So the first thing to do is to actually pin the linked model into place so that you don't move it, let's say, accidentally. So if I select my link, I have the option of pinning that in place. So you notice that if you don't have the select link option, if you can't select your link, you just hover around to the modify option right here, and you can choose to select your link. You can tick that mark and you have the option to select the link. So notice that our linked model is actually now available down here under the project browser, and you can see that it's right here. And under manage tab, you should be able to actually see your link. So if I go to manage tab and I go ahead and click on manage project, manage links, I have my architectural model right in it, and its status currently is loaded. And the reference type currently is set to overlay. So I'll just go ahead and click on OK. So I need to adjust my visibility settings of this linked model, and I'll go ahead and go to the view tab, and I should access my visibility graphics right here, or I can just type the shortcut VV or VG. So I'll go ahead and check on my Revit links and notice that my architectural model is actually switched on. So if I switch it off, I can put it off and I can switch it back on. So I'll go ahead and half tone it, and I'll click on apply and click on OK. So now you can see that it's quite light. And to manage my halftone settings, I can go ahead and click on the manage tab, and I should access that via the additional settings, and I'll just search for halftone and underlay. So for the halftone settings, I can adjust that to be lighter or darker. So I want it to be a bit dark, so I'll just type in 60, or notice that you can drag this button right here. So I can just go ahead and click on 60 and I'll apply that. So you can see that it's a bit darker now. And I'll go ahead and access my visibility graphics settings and I'll apply an underlay. I'll set it to be an underlay so that it will be below my structural model. And I'll go ahead and adjust the underlay settings using the same path, manage additional settings, halftone stroke underlay, and I can adjust the line weights to 1. I can adjust the pattern, but for now I don't want to adjust the pattern. So I'll just go ahead and click on OK. So now I've adjusted my view settings for the linked model. So now the next step is to set my levels up. And to set my levels, I need to go to my side views. So I'll come down here to the project browser and I'll go ahead and click on the Node tab. So notice that my visibility settings haven't been applied to all my views, and I can just apply that by going back to my visibility graphics option, VV, Revit links, apply the halftone and the underlay. Click on apply, click on OK. So now they've been applied. Notice that the architectural model is actually grayed out. So I have my default levels for my structural model right here, and I can just grab this button right here and I can move this to the right so that I just line them up with the architectural levels. So notice that when I move them, they're actually moving together because they're actually locked. They're actually moving together because they're locked. So I can go ahead and create more levels so that they can match up with the architectural levels. So I'll go ahead and right click on this level and I'll click on create similar. So I can specify the distance. So I'll just specify this distance to be 3 meters so that it can be the same as level 3 of the architect's model. So notice that when I click there, I can can set that height and I just drag it over so that it aligns with the other levels. I'll go ahead and tick on that. Now I can see my level. So I can use another method to create the grids. Of course, if I go to the structure tab and click on grid, and click on levels, sorry, or I can just type LL and I have my levels right there. I can choose to pick a line and I'll set my level to be the same as level 4 of the architectural model. So I'll pick that line. Notice that my levels is now in place. So I'll just drag that a bit. I'll drag it up a bit to that point. Notice that now I have my level. I can copy also the architect's existing levels. Okay. I can go ahead and under collaborate tab, I can go to the coordinate panel and under copy stroke monitor, I'll click on select link. So now I have the option of selecting this link. I'll go ahead and click on that link and and notice that a contextual ribbon pops up and this contextual ribbon is on copying and monitoring right here. So I have the option of copying a level, so I'll just click on copy, and notice that down here on my status bar on the lower left corner, I'm being asked to select elements as specified in coordination monitor options. So the element that I'll select is this level 5, and notice that I only have the option of selecting the elements in the architectural model, in the linked model. So if you try to select your levels, the levels that you have set up, you can't select them. So I'll just select on level 5, and it should copy that automatically. Okay, so there's my level 5. And you can also choose to copy multiple. So if you click on copy, you have the option of selecting multiple, and you can copy several elements. So I'll go ahead and copy my roof level 2. Let's see here, and there it is. It is in place right now. So notice that when you use the copy option, the two levels, the architectural level and your level, are monitored automatically. So let me start by level 1. Let me go ahead and monitor so that they're in sync. So if I click on monitor, I want to monitor. Notice that on your status bar, you have pick an element to monitor. So I want to monitor my level with the architectural levels. Now I'm being asked to pick corresponding element to monitor. I'll click on the architectural level. So notice that this heartbeat sign pops up, and that means that my levels are being monitored. I can go ahead and click also on monitor. I can go ahead and monitor this level with this. Notice that the heartbeat sign, which indicates monitoring, pops up. I can go ahead and link this one with, can go ahead and monitor this one with this one. There's that sign. I can go ahead and monitor this one with this one with this one. So notice that the ones which I copied, the levels that I established through copying, are actually already monitored. Okay, so I'll go ahead and click finish, but before that, I can just check on the options. So I have options for my different elements, and notice that the original type of, let's say, my levels, they have this default setting style. So you notice that they have a quarter-inch head, and they don't have a head. Okay. So they're actually given a particular setting. So notice that they have a bubble. They don't have a head. They actually have a round bubble. And notice that my type of levels is actually this type. You can see right here. Then I have an option of for my established levels, I can add some parameters. Let's say I can add a suffix to that level name. I could add a prefix to that particular level. I also have options for my grid lines. Let's say the link model has this type of grid lines, and my new type has this type, so I can adjust. And let's say I want them to be similar. So under column, walls, and floors, notice that the linked model has different kinds of columns and walls, and the existing ones, the ones which are loaded, are actually different from that. So most of the time, I wouldn't want to copy the architectural columns to mine, because mostly they won't be what we'll be using. So I'll just leave that to default and go ahead and click on OK. So that's how you link your level. That's how you link your levels. And go back to my level 1 and set my discipline to coordination. Now I can see much more elements right in. So I'll go ahead and click on my visibility graphics, VV. Under Revit links, I'll apply my halftone and underlay. And I don't want to see, okay, let me just click on apply and okay. And I'm not interested in seeing these reference lines right here. So I'll go ahead and click on VV. Under Revit links, I'll go by host view. I select by view and I'll click on custom. So under model categories, I should be able to select my custom setting. And for the model categories, I'll go ahead and gray out the reference. So if I click on, let me select custom right here, click on reference. So notice that they're actually in the annotation category. So I'll uncheck the reference lines, click on apply, and also uncheck the reference planes, click on apply, then click on OK. Apply, OK. So I also don't want to see these dot tags and the architect's dimensions. So I'll click on VV, Revit links, custom. I should be able to see dimensions somewhere. Yeah, I have it right there. Then on dot tags, I'll just uncheck that. Click on apply, click on OK. Apply, OK. So the ones which are remaining are actually the window tags. Okay. So I can set my discipline to architectural. I can set it to my coordination, and you should see elements which are relevant to that particular discipline. So now these are the windows. Let me just switch the window tags off. Categories and categories. Go ahead and click on window tags. Apply. Okay, so my window tags are actually off right now. So I'll go ahead and finish the copying and monitoring. Notice that there's one aspect we didn't look at under levels. So if you go back a little bit to the levels which you are monitoring, let's say I want to change my level to 4 meters. Let me just type in 4. Notice that I get a warning: coordination monitor alert, level moved by 1000. So this will inform me that I've actually adjusted my level, and now it's different from the architectural level, the level of the architectural model. So I'll go ahead and click on Control Z to adjust that. And this can also be shown if let's say if I save this model, let me just save it as my structural model 1. Go ahead and save it right there. So let me try adjusting the architectural model. Let me adjust its level. So if I click on close, I just close my model, and let me open my architectural model, the one which I linked. So I just go ahead and click on open. Okay, so if I go to my side elevation, let's say the north, and now let me adjust my level 2. Let me place it at 5000. That's 5 meters. So let me go ahead and save. And I'll go ahead and close that, and I'll open up my structural model. So notice that when I open it, I have a warning right here, instant of link needs coordination review. So I'll go ahead and I can click on expand, or I can just go ahead and click on OK, and I can access that warning. I can access that warning right here. If I go to manage, no, if I go to collaborate and under coordinate, I can go ahead and click on coordination review, select link. I'll go ahead and select this link, and notice that I have information right here. I have the two levels shown right here. I have my level and have the architectural level right here indicated. It's at 5 meters. So my level is at 3 meters, my level 2, and the architectural level is at 5 meters. So I have an option of postponing that warning. I can reject that warning. I can choose to accept the difference and work with what I've decided my level 2 to be at 3 meters, or I can choose to move my level to the architect's level 2. So I can choose to show these elements, or I can just choose not to show them. So I'll go ahead and click on apply. Notice what happens if I click on apply. So I have my two levels right here. If I click on apply, boom, my level 2 now moves, and it's in line with the architectural models level 2. So I'll just click on OK, and I'll click save. Now that's saved. So that's how you copy and monitor levels between your linked models. So if I go ahead to level 1 and proceed from where we left, I can go ahead and now start creating my grid lines. So I'll go ahead and click on GR. I've set that option as my shortcut for my grids, for creating my grids, or I can just go to structure and click on grids. So I'll choose the pick lines options, and notice that I have the option of selecting a given line. So definitely I'll set my grid to be at the midpoint of this wall. So I'll just hover around and I'll click on that midpoint. So I'll select this grid node, and adjust it to that point. So I can go ahead and create my grids at the point that I, as the structural engineer, see that needed actually at that point. Given that you notice that on placing columns, you actually need the grids on placing the different structural elements. So I'll go ahead and hit modify. So I'll select my grids and I just check the copy option, and I'll constrain it to move at a given angle that will be orthogonal, that will be 90 degrees, and I can check on multiple. So I'll just be selecting the midpoint of these walls to establish my grids. If I go back and I'll select a point, let's say here. So I can place that at the midpoint of this wall. I can place that at this midpoint. I can place another grid line there. I can place one right here. I can place another one right here. So notice how easy it is to actually place my grid lines in relation to the elements of the architectural model. So I also have an option of, if I click on my grids and right click and select create similar, I should be able to select the midpoint of this wall. I'll create that grid right there. I'll adjust its location and maybe label it. I should be able to create similar. I'll click on pick lines. So I'm trying to look for the right point to place my next grid. Let's say I want to place it at the midpoint of this wall. Okay, so I can select that, adjust that. Can go ahead and create another one. Using the pick lines option, I'll select the midpoint of that wall, the midpoint of that point, and the midpoint of that point. So I'll just adjust my grid lines. Okay. I should be able to adjust their position, and I can just tick on that. So if I select this one, I should be able to also adjust it, and they should actually move in sync. So you can see there they're moving. They're actually moving together. So I can just tick on this and tick on this. So if I copy this, let me select the grid first, then I click on select the grid and I click on copy, constraint, can copy it to the midpoint of this wall. So I have my grids running vertically and horizontally all set up. I can just go ahead and adjust this one. Yeah, so now I should be able to begin my structural modeling. Let's say I want to place in my columns. So if I go under structure and hit on column and select at grids, I can just go ahead and select all my grids and hit the finish button. So now I have my steel columns placed at that particular point. So from this point, you should be able to begin your structural modeling, and the linked architectural model should actually act as your guide. So if I click on 3D, I should be able to see my columns right there at the level 1. There are still columns actually quite big. So I can select this column and let's say I want to adjust it. I can adjust its level. Notice that I didn't pay attention on the placement. So you need to actually pay attention to where you're placing your columns, and that's in regards to the levels. So if I go ahead and click on column at grids, I should be able to just do the same thing. Click on finish. Okay, so from this point, you can be able to add the remaining structural elements. You can go ahead and adjust their positioning. Let's say if I select this one, select all stations in the entire project, I should be able to adjust that. Okay, let me just push them to level 2 and the offset should be 0. Click on apply. So I've adjusted their position and you should be able to begin your structural modeling process. Now from there, once you have completed the structural modeling process, you should be able to push your model to an analysis software or tool. So I guess time is not on our side, and we have actually covered this part, the linking of the architectural model to the structural project. And we have actually added and modified levels, and grids. So we will schedule for a session where we can look at the remaining sections, and that will be setting up a structural project. Now that will be part 2. So I hope we are all looking forward to that session, and maybe I can just take some questions. Okay, so I'll go ahead and unmute. So any question, you can just use the chat option. And I should be able to see your question. Okay, any question so far? Okay, so that means that there is no question. It's okay. So my link had a short session which was set for 40 minutes. And I think that's it. See you next week. And for next week, we'll be talking about something different. Actually, we will look at the structural analysis options for Revit. So that's it for today. You can send your questions to my email address, and that will be ed@hicad.co.ke, iwdy@hicad.co.ke. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you, guys.